Keto is a set of macronutrient ratios. You could be vegan and be keto. You can be carnivore and be keto. You can be Mediterranean and keto. It's just macronutrient ratios. So how you execute on that is up to you. I mean, there can be what's called lazy keto or dirty keto, where you're eating a lot of desserts and processed foods and things like that. That's probably not ideal. It may help with some weight loss, but long term, that's probably not an ideal lifestyle.
Your ideal keto ratio is what on the macros?
Yeah, it's probably something like 70% of calories from fats, 25% calories from protein, and then 0 to 5% coming from carbohydrate and mostly fiber from the vegetables.
So yeah, that's the tricky part is how do you have enough calories left to get your vegetables in, and then how do you get that much fat and still make it healthy?
Well, there's a couple things there. So with the vegetables, I get plenty in, especially if it's the high fiber, low glycemic, low carb kind of vegetables. Think things like cauliflower and broccoli, asparagus, Brussels sprouts, obviously lettuce and kale and spinach, things like that are nutrient dense but low calorie and certainly low carb. Ones that you can kind of run into some problems are the ones that are the traditional American vegetables because they're high sugar, high starch, that really aren't as healthy as you'd think. Because of that, they're high glycemic. And so things like peas, carrots, corn, those might be a little less keto friendly. So there's plenty of vegetables that you can have. And then to your point, I think, I've talked to Dr. Daniel Stickler, who's a doctor I work with out of Austin, and he feels like the most powerful diet right now in terms of data would be something like a Mediterranean keto diet. So, I mean, keto is powerful. Using fats for fuel is a powerful tool, and limiting the amount of certainly processed or high glycemic carbohydrate can be powerful as well, especially if, again, you're insulin resistant. But getting in plenty of like the monounsaturated fats, like olive oil, can be extremely healthy. So yeah, it takes some planning, but that's what I would look at. I would look at some of the tenets of paleo. The most important would be from paleo is dropping allergens and eating whole food. The tenets of keto is getting away from high carbohydrates, potentially that's high glycemic, and then getting adapted to using fat for fuel, and at least being metabolically flexible where you can use glucose or fat for fuel. And then lastly would be the components of Mediterranean, where you're, eating some of these healthy meats, like especially fish. You're having a lot of fresh vegetables, and you're having things like olive oil in a high amount. And, that would be a pretty powerful trinity. And then add to that maybe some intermittent fasting, like a 16 and 8. And that would really be the ultimate combination to me.
Let's not forget the red wine.
Yeah, exactly. I'm a big fan of that. Just around like one glass and sipping it, with a meal and having it. What's important is, I think with red wine, when you think about Mediterranean, yes, there's benefits to having this polyphenol, the resveratrol. And yes, there's actually benefits to 1 to 2 glasses of alcohol a day in terms of it's a hormetic stress to the mitochondria. It's a positive stress in a good way that actually stimulates the mitochondria to be stronger. And it also has a vasodilation effect on your arteries. So a small amount of alcohol can be healthy. It's just we tend to slam it and we tend to drink too much and it becomes unhealthy. But another factor in this is the way that they drink it. And again, going back to these blue zones, like Sardinia, Italy, that is Mediterranean, they have the community and the connection, and they eat meals for a couple hours and they prepare those meals themselves. And, they're sitting with 10 people. And so when they're drinking wine, it's a different experience with that wine drinking than it might be for us when we just might pound it and maybe we're alone. And, it's a very different thing. So that's something that has to be factored in as well.